Good afternoon to you, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for July 8th, 2015. Taking a look at what's going on out there. We're going to look at the Eastern Pacific in more detail, but let's take a quick stop in the Atlantic Basin where, of course, nothing is expected over the next 5 days. And I can show you why real quick here on a satellite picture. It's pretty obvious. First of all, yes, it is still rather early in the hurricane season. It's only July 8th. But secondly, check this out. Zero convective activity at all in the main development region, nothing to speak of up in the subtropics, and no convective activity in the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico. That, my friends, is very remarkable to see. The Madden-Julian Oscillation, not favorable in the Western Hemisphere. As you can see here, it's not in phases 8 or 1. Instead, it's been hanging out over here in the Western Pacific, phases 6 and 7. Now on the downturn, meaning that the Madden-Julian Oscillation is beginning to weaken. The upward motion pulse will slowly subside over the next few days, and then probably go into what we call the null phase here inside the circle, meaning that there's no discernible MJO activity anywhere around the globe. And then perhaps, just perhaps, at about week 2 here, beyond the 20th, 22nd of July, maybe getting into the region that is somewhat favorable for Atlantic Basin development. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, the activity has definitely been focused in the Pacific region, and we can see that here on this hemispheric shot. You have Typhoon Nanka here, Typhoon Chan-hom here, and then Tropical Storm Linfa, or Linfa, however you say it, to the west there. So let's take a look at each one of these individually. First, Tropical Storm, 10W for Western Pacific, Linfa, or Linfa, I don't know how you pronounce these. I actually did look it up. Took the effort to see if there was a pronunciation guide. I couldn't find any. There was a nice list of everything, and the contributing countries, almost said companies. Wouldn't that be the day? Hey, this typhoon brought to you by the Acme so-and-so company. Interesting, huh? Maybe that'll happen someday. But no, different countries or nationalities. China will contribute. You get Cambodia contributing names. The different nationalities of the Western Pacific all sort of submit their local name convention, if you will, to the list. I didn't know that. Anyway, so this one's Linfa, and it is headed towards China as a weak tropical storm, probably. As you can see here, only 60 knots is the peak, and then dropping down to about 20 to 30 knots as it skirts along the coast of China towards Hong Kong. Then to the east, we have Typhoon Chan-hom, which is headed northwest. I'm going to split the uprights here between, I believe, Okinawa here and Taiwan, and luckily not going to run right over any of these particular places. And then maybe, just maybe, it can make a sharper right turn than this and avoid the Chinese coastline. We'll see about that. And then it starts to weaken as it heads towards South Korea here, North Korea up top. We'll have to see what happens with that. Maybe it can make that right turn just a little bit quicker, maybe something like this, and be a rainfall threat up here along the Korean peninsula. Farther to the east, we have Nanka, also a typhoon roaming around over the open waters of the Pacific right now, and it is forecast to turn northward towards Japan, and there's Tokyo right there, but it'll probably curve east of Japan, something like this. I don't see much chatter on the hurricane or typhoon blogosphere about this being a significant threat to Japan, so that's good news. Considering there's all this typhoonery going on, it's good that we don't have any significant impacts looming for people. Now, in the Eastern Pacific, or more specifically the Southeast Pacific, low chance of development with a system here, and then a higher chance of development with a system to the south and west of Mexico. Now, before I get into that, we do have a tropical depression. Let's see if I can pull that up. In the Central Pacific, if they will let me, I don't think it's going to be on here. It's TD number 4 in the Pacific there. It's right off the map here. More than likely going to go well to the north of Hawaii, so really not much of a concern. The Hurricane Center named it TD number 4 yesterday, and then promptly handed it off to the Central Pacific hurricane season area of responsibility. I thought I had a satellite picture of it. Here it is right here, and you can tell it's getting sheared, not very well organized, probably going to head to the north of Hawaii, no problems to speak of overall. And then all of this other convective mess associated with that Madden-Julian oscillation, but no one system looks like it wants to consolidate. Over here, though, it looks like in the next few days we will have some activity off the coast of Mexico, and you can see that in the GFS. This is the latest run from 12Z today. There's the Baja Peninsula, Gulf of California, and the southwest coast of Mexico. And this is day 3. I went ahead and advanced it out to 72 hours. And you can see this area of low pressure to the south of the Gulf of Tehuantepec trying to organize here, and more than likely going to move off to the west-northwest with time. This is 96 hours, and finally 120 hours, day 5. A nice envelope of low pressure out here, like a monsoon trough, and then this system here develops into the next eastern Pacific tropical storm. Probably going to be a hurricane, and a very strong hurricane at that, but it looks like the track will be away from Mexico overall, and I can show you why. This is really neat to be able to pinpoint this and explain why it wouldn't be a threat to Mexico. And I think you can see very nicely outlined here at the 500 millibar level of the GFS is this large dome of high pressure, literally a mountain of air in the atmosphere, very deep layer high pressure here. This dome is denser, thicker air mass than is our tropical cyclone down here to the south, so it can't just turn up into this. It's not physically possible. Instead, it rides along the bottom periphery and will be steered out into the open Pacific. And if this weakens and moves east a little bit, then maybe you get a turn back towards the north with time. And that is what you can see here, a break in the ridge right here. But you see how far out to the west this break is. And this is day 5, by the way, valid this coming Monday, the 13th of July. So this system would have to travel on and then turn north in any break in the ridge. But remember, this is dynamic. It's going to change over time. The bottom line is, for our interests in Mexico here, no worries from this developing system as of yet. I don't see any reason to worry about it. Again, that is a fairly stout ridge of high pressure, 594 height line in the atmosphere, and that just tells me it's a contour line in the atmosphere, that's a very thick ridge of high pressure, and that should keep this safely to your south and west if you are on the Pacific side of Mexico. All right, well, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I do appreciate it. Really not much to talk about tomorrow, so let's skip ahead and go to Friday for the next update time. That way you're up to date on what's going on for the weekend ahead. Nothing going to be a problem in the Atlantic, I can almost guarantee you that. But we'll keep an eye on what's going on in the Pacific. So, Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com here. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you again on Friday.